Hey, this is Mass X with a brand new One Punch Man, the strongest video, and we're getting now, we're, past the midway point of the month. We know we are coming down to the finish line before we get URs. So what and who are we going to have next? Well, we've talked about this briefly, breaking down all the remaining characters and how it would fall out if they made no changes. But decided to take it a step further and go ahead and analyze the economics of banners, popularity, who draws more, who would be more successful. And looking at that, it does make you start to think what Moonton and the developers are going to do, because as we know, we already have precedents for them for skipping characters, especially ones they don't think will be as successful as others for the bottom line. And coming in at the end of the year, you have to think they're worried about getting revenues higher if at all possible. So looking at that and who we should be seeing, of course, we should be getting Watchdog Man next if no changes were made. And Watchdog Man does okay. Looking back at the economics of everything and sales, Watchdog Man actually isn't as high as you would normally think. So then it begs the question, would they drop this character, and the pros and cons of if that banner would pull? Well, if you're not familiar, the SSR plus Watchdog Man itself is a grappler hero, of course, but it's really a DPS single target. Reminds me a lot of Garu SSR plus, and that also because the character didn't play well into the meta, didn't play well because of the amount of investment. They literally mirror each other, okay? The single attack on this character is nothing we really care about. We're not even going to talk about. What this character really does, of course, is with its ultimate, its awaken, its passive. So the ultimate itself, okay, it attacks a single target with continuous tactic combo, and it does 150% of attack. But it's 4 consecutive strikes, and when the battle begins, every layer of specialized protection adds 1 consecutive strike up to 13 times, and it can deal damage at around 1,950% as it states. Pretty crazy stuff, okay? Single target, slowly dismantle, very much like Garu SSR plus. Not a lot of people hardcore built him. I did, and actually I was looking forward to Watchdog Man because I wanted to have a newer, improved version of what I used Garu for, because you get also more survivability with Watchdog Man, which is really nice. You get with his awaken passive, you get that 70% chance of evade. Just not a bad character, but not one that most people would pull on. Free to plays would be a hard skip on this. Light spenders would probably be a hard skip on this. So not a banner that's going to do phenomenal. Now again, not a bad character, but if we look at the facts, the economics of it, it makes you wonder if this is our next character that is on the chopping block to not make it and be dropped off. And normally I would probably say maybe not right now, but the problem we have is if you drop Watchdog Man, you go into a character that could possibly be their best-selling banner of the SSR Plus era over anyone else, including, DSK. And then you got to start to think and wonder, this might be what they would consider. This would be the pull. And then it takes us 1 month closer to URs, shave off another month, and now you start to think, could this be where they do the next pull of a character? So let's talk about Grory Boss. Grory Boss A, history across the board, China. C, monster banner for the game. Monster banner. Why? Well, you know, he's an Esper, he's a monster. He's got the specialized damage, reflect, corrosion, adhesion. Again, we don't really care about his basic attack. What we care about are the next 3 items. And they're crucial with this character. He attacks all enemies with 5 consecutive strikes for 250% attack damage, 100% chance to inflict the main target and enemies in the same row and column with specialized corrode, deals continuous damage, yada yada. We know all that, okay? Nullifies the extra damage reflection effects of all enemies for the remainder of battle. Specialized corrode, deals 120% of attack and continuous damage. Blah, 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 blah. We don't need to guess. It's very similar to DSK. But then the character goes a step up. I mean, he is basically DSK pumped up, steroids, you name it, this character takes it to the next level. So with the passive, you get, when the enemy receives continuous damage, he immediately absorbs 60% of the continuous damage and deals extra damage. Only one effect of this type will be effective throughout the battle. Inflict adhesion, cannot follow up or consecutive follow up on enemies with specialized corrode for 2 rounds. Nice, you know. And then we've got the awaken passive. When the battle begins, give yourself specialized damage reflect. This is the biggie, okay? When received direct damage and extra damage, reduces it by 50% and returns 50% of the original damage to the attacker as extra damage, which lasts until the end of the battle. After any character takes an action, absorbs 100% enemy DOT to recover self, specialized guard. To counter damage received, this effect overlays additional HP effects. The total amount cannot exceed 15 times the original HP. Specialized damage reflect. As we talked about earlier, what it does, it's just repeating itself. So yeah, this character is completely DSK, completely pumped up. This character has a track record of doing incredibly well on the prior banners. And yeah, it starts to make you think, boy, Watchdog Man may be your next skip. I mean, Watchdog Man, he's fine. He's super high single target DPS, so he's great. He can be tanky, like I talked about, because of the 70% evade, but he's really expensive to build, like Garu, and he's countered by TTM, which is something a lot of people don't think about when they get this character, okay? He has such high single attack. He lays that down on Ting Tok Master, if you have him, and then guess what? It's hitting your team back because of the reflect. So yeah, so he was never the biggest, most popular character. Where Grory Boss is. Now, Grory Boss is also a semi-high investment character, and I want to state that with a caveat, okay? You're going to have to build this character, okay? He's gonna cost you. You know, you get the Ultra Ultimate with him. You know, you get that damage up to 400%. You get the attack up to 180. Your Extreme Passive gets you the extra damage to 75%. All great stuff. And your 5P passive takes the extra damage up to 80%. But you don't need the Occ 2 with this character. So that's a good thing. But he is going to take some decent investment like DSK because he is going to be a heavy duty DPS for you, especially if you're going to use him in tandem with DSK. So looking at both characters, looking at the economics of the situation, looking at the track record of the publisher and developer, it really starts to make you think, are they going to pull Watchdog Man SSR Plus, get us Grory Boss, and then hit us possibly with another character that might do pretty good, especially around the holidays, and have 2 banners that they think are going to generate more, significantly more. That's the worry here, okay? Now, we'll get in depth with Grory Boss or Watchdog Man, whoever is the one that gets announced and dropped. But looking at everything you can see, and if you do the pros and cons for both of these characters for the developer and publisher, you've got to give the edge, a huge edge, to Grory Boss if it is going to be solely an economic decision. So yeah, I just, this game, we are starting to mirror like we did last year, and we're damn close to URs. And the more I start to think about this, the more, knowing what's gone on in the game with the drama, the issues, I think the sympathy level for the player base is low, and it's going to be a strictly economic decision. And if that's the case, then it leads to seeing Grory Boss and Zombie Man, possibly Grory Boss and Metal Knight, possibly back to back. Marrying on how deep of a cut they want to go in changing things. I still think we will end with Super Alloy Darkshine. I think that's without a doubt. They end with that one to bring in the last SSR Plus that people are going to go hard for, knowing even though UR will be coming the following month. So that would not shock me to just double whammy back to back. It's what they've done previously, so I expect that to be the same. But thinking about who could come and go, I really think Watchdog Man, out of the grouping of characters, would be the next to fall. They could also remove PPP, marrying on and change what they want to do for the wheel or the banner situation. I mean, they have so many options right now that they could speed run this, and it could really take a 180. I mean, think about that. Think about if we got Grory Boss next month. We got Zombie Man. They threw either Metal Knight or Super Alloy on a wheel, the other one in the banner. We are looking at URs in February. Now again, that's worst case scenario. Absolute worst case scenario. But it wouldn't shock me. I think it's still more realistic to think it would be March. I don't think they want to make that many global changes. But right now, I think to be playing this game, you have to think worst, not best scenario. And worst scenario is going to be they're going to drop 1 to 2 characters. So let me know your thoughts on this. Let me know if you're even set up BT wise. I mean, I just, yeah, this is going to get ugly because we won't be able to always predict. It's always been the case, but now we have less and less characters, so it makes it even more difficult. And like I said, given their track record, given the economics, the end of the calendar year, and probably their accounting year for business purposes, man, the more you think about this as a business decision, because let's be honest, nobody's going to skip Grory Boss unless they have to. So that's guaranteed money. So, and they could still slide in somebody that's going to do pretty darn well, maybe not Grory Boss well, in December, thinking, okay, maybe there's a little bit more money to be had. Why? Because it's the holidays. So yeah, my personal thoughts, take it with a grain of salt. Just be wary. We know these guys will drop characters, so let's see what happens. With that, as always, please like and subscribe. It helps a lot. Have a great day.